Hello, friend! Today's kitchen location is Aalborg, Denmark. We're going to be making pizza from scratch. Not just any pizza, this pizza has a little twist. This is a yeast pizza dough that we keep in the refrigerator overnight, and the twist is we're going to be making this with Medisterpølse, which is a Danish sausage. So it's kind of like an Italian and a Dane got together, and this is the pizza. And now for a little confession. Yeast is kind of intimidating to me. I tried it a few times years ago, and I know it's supposed to be easy, but it just kind of feels like there's this little secret club where those who know, and those who don't kind of flounder. So we're gonna go forward and build some skills. We're gonna use yeast in our dough. I've been told this is super easy and almost foolproof. I'm super excited to test this out, and worst case scenario, it flops, but I'm sure it's gonna be fine. Okay, here are the ingredients. I have pizza flour, sugar, just a tiny bit, salt, and this is yeast from what I can translate. Room temperature water, and we'll just need a tiny bit of oil. It should be olive oil, but I don't have that, so I'm going to use what I have. The recipe calls for 250 grams of flour. It's always best to weigh it. Otherwise it calls for 2 cups. I don't even have a proper measuring cup. So I will ad lib and put in 2 cups of what I got. 1 and 2, 5 grams or about a teaspoon of salt. I don't really have the proper salt either, but hopefully this will be adequate. Salt. About a half a teaspoon of sugar, which is optional but helps with the browning. I'll talk more about the yeast in a minute, but I translated the back of this package, and it says to mix it in with the flour. And so it's also calling for a teaspoon. Whew. Glad I did it over this cup. And to sprinkle that in, right in with the flour. 2 teaspoons of olive oil, which is optional but makes the dough softer. So I'm experimenting. I'm going to go with it and see how everything turns out. 1, and again, this should be olive oil, but I'm using what I have. 2. I feel like I should have whisked this to distribute the salt and the yeast and the sugar better before the oil, but I didn't think about it till just now. So we'll distribute that around the flour. Next, it calls for 160 grams of water, which is about 2/3 cup. So I'm going to add not quite as much as I have in here because I'm not sure what my measurements are. Maybe I'll start with that. And mix it with a spoon or your hands. I guess I'll start it with a spoon at least. Okay, we're supposed to stir this until it becomes a shaggy dough, which I think we're getting pretty close. Might be a little sticky. I did add that last bit of water, and maybe I shouldn't have. But we're learning and we're developing a new skill. I mean, it's never bad to learn how to make pizza dough, right? Yep, that's not quite shaggy. Maybe I'll add a tiny bit more flour. All right. Next, it says to knead for 5 to 7 minutes on a lightly floured surface. This is clean. I made sure this was very clean. Okay, I'm going to start kneading this for 5 to 7 minutes. Dough should be soft and not sticky, so I think we're a little on the sticky side. The good part about this is I don't have a lot of experience with yeast, and I've heard pizza dough is very forgiving, so I'm hoping that's the case and it all turns out and I develop a new skill and get rid of a fear of yeast. Definitely don't think I should have put that extra water in. All the people that are watching this that know how to make pizza dough are probably screaming and telling me what I did wrong. I hope we can just resurrect it and work with what we have. There, I think we've gotten this to be in a pretty good spot. Next, we're supposed to put the dough ball into a lightly oiled bowl. Next, we'll cover this and let it sit 30 to 40 minutes. I'm going to put a little plastic wrap on it loosely. Cover it with a kitchen towel and make sure I keep it out of a draft in a nice warm area to let it rise. Okay, this is really exciting for someone who's a little intimidated by yeast. This has been resting for 41 minutes and I'm going to turn this out. This recipe is supposed to make two dough or crusts for 9-inch pizzas. And we're going to cut our dough in half and form each one into a tight ball. I'd say that looks great. And then I have 2 containers. You could put these in a zip top bag if you wanted. These are slightly oiled, and I'll put each one in its own container and put the lid on. Hopefully it doesn't burst the lid. And these can be in the refrigerator for 12 to 48 hours. And there they are. See you guys tomorrow when we'll make the rest of the pizza. Okay, the dough has been in the refrigerator overnight, so I'm going to take it out, set it on the counter for 1 to 2 hours and let it come up to temperature. It looks good. You can see that it's puffed up and working its little yeast magic. Okay, here's what I've decided for toppings. Of course, mozzarella cheese. And here's the twist. This is very Danish. This is Medisterpølse. I'm doing this for 2 reasons. One is I couldn't find Italian sausage at the store, and 2, I thought it might be kind of fun to mix it up. Number 3, some pepper, and 4, some onion. So let's give these a rough chop. Okay, so while my dough is coming up to temperature, you can see this one, they both blew the lids off. Okay, so while the dough is coming up to temperature 1 to 2 hours, I'll work on the toppings and get those ready. I have my red peppers, sweet red peppers in a rough chop, and also onions roughly chopped. Now let's work on the Medisterpølse. I think I'll just remove the casing and fry it up. Of course, any toppings like meat and chicken or anything that needs to be thoroughly cooked will need to cook ahead of time, because the oven, the 6 or 7 or 8 minutes that it's going to be in the oven, won't cook this. So at this point you can decide how fine or how coarse you want your sausage. I'm going to try and leave mine a little bit coarse so I can have a good bite of it with my pizza. Alright, our pork is coming along, and then we have our vegetables. It's up to you if you want to cook them or leave them raw. Take a little bit of the bite out of the onion and soften the pepper just a little bit. Just a really, really little bit. And I'm going to sprinkle in a little basil. I'm I'm thinking this will really only take a minute. I don't want to make these soggy. I just want to make them so they're not raw. And I'm going to shut the sausage off. That looks just great. Nice little brown, still chunky. This is going to be wonderful. Okay, time to get the oven preheating. In Denmark, we're on Celsius, so we're going to go to 250, which is about 480 Fahrenheit. This needs to preheat and be really hot. Recipe suggests a half an hour. A few months ago, I was fortunate enough to be invited to a party, and the host was a master sourdough baker. It was a pizza party. He has an outdoor pizza oven, so that was great. And I'm going to see if I remember the tricks that he taught us about making personal pizzas with homemade dough and what to do and what not to do. First of all, you want to try and keep all the air in that you can. So we're not going to use any kind of a rolling pin on this. And let's take it out and shape it. Okay, I have my floured surface. I'm going to take my pizza dough out, and this is what he showed us to do. You kind of start in the middle and shape it out. Not a rolling pin, because that's going to break all these beautiful bubbles that we're going for. I'm going to leave a little crust on the side and dust my hands a little bit more with the flour. And then he taught us that we could do this. You kind of stretch it along the edge, along the edge, along the edge. So you're going to keep the edges going to be crust, and you don't want to fiddle around with this too much or it's going to get tough. I think we're looking pretty good. That might be the end of the fiddling. Wow, look at that. I'm pretty happy. There's crust number 1. Woohoo, this is exciting. A little flour on my hands, and then really with your knuckles, you're going to stretch it, keeping the outside, the crust, so that's going to be a little thicker. And I think number 2 is getting close. I forgot my pan. Okay, now we are getting to the fun part, putting the toppings on. First of all, we're going to start with our pizza sauce, and this clearly says pasta sauce in English, so I don't know what I was doing at the store. My brain must have read pizza sauce even though it's in English. We'll put some of this on because that's what we have to work with. And let me tell you, there's nobody who likes a loaded garbage pizza more than I do, but the trick is really to go light. These pizzas are pretty thin, and the more toppings and the more stuff that you put on, the wetter and heavier it gets, and you're going to have a much better pizza in the end if you try to go light. Next, after that, we will put on some mozzarella cheese, and I'll try to have a light hand. It's hard not to load this up with everything, but I'm going to try and restrain myself. And here we have our beautiful vegetables, some onions, peppers, and I put in a little oregano. This is such a fun part of the process. You could do all sorts of things. You could do the mushrooms with sausage. You could do bechamel sauce with chicken. And now let's put on some of our chunky sausage. Okay, now we're gonna put our 2 pizzas into this ripping hot oven. This oven and I don't get along, we have our differences, so get that one in there. Get that one in there, and those should go 7 or 8 minutes until golden brown and bubbly and maybe a little charred. Oh my goodness, these look good. I'm gonna try and get them out of here without burning myself. Wow, these look so good. Look at this beauty. Number 2. Okay, it's burning my fingers. All right, and now for the taste test. I mean, this is what we're here for, right? Mamma mia. I say mamma mia a lot for all sorts of food that I think is wonderful, but in this case, this is pretty appropriate. Mamma mia pizza, and if I knew how to say mamma mia in Danish, I would, but I don't. This is really great. Even with the fear that I had about the yeast, it worked out fine. The pasta sauce instead of pizza sauce, everything worked out just fine. And the Medisterpølse, the Danish sausage, gives it a whole new flavor. Obviously, like nothing else I've ever had before, this is really great. The dough is absolutely perfect, and it could have gone another 24 hours, so I could have done this pizza tomorrow. I am super, super happy with the way that it turned out, and bon appetit. Thanks for joining me today, friend. I have had a blast. I'm so happy you could be here with me. So let me know in the comments, what are your favorite toppings that you put on your pizzas? And have you ever made overnight pizza dough from scratch? I'm sure glad I tried it, and I'm slowly but surely getting away from my fear of yeast. If you had a good time, please give us a like, subscribe to our channel, and that way you'll see the new videos that come out where travel and cooking come together. I can't wait to see you on the next one.